Hey, everybody. If you didn't notice, this is part two of a two-part Fireside chat that we did with JB. If you want to check out part one, it's in the description.
What trophies or platinums are you the most proud of? And it doesn't have to be difficulty wise. It could just be like what means the most to you.
No, I gotta
What
look that
trophies like
up.
feel good to you?
Um,
Goalie butt. Goalie butt.
what is goalie butt?
One of the times JB and I hung out, I had just I had waited at night for the midnight release of like NHL 2015 or something. I was the only I wore a jersey. I showed up to the midnight release. It was like Destiny and also that. I was the only person waiting in line for the NHL game. I was also there for Destiny, but it was like a bit I was doing. And he was like, do you want to play NHL 2015? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And there's the create a player, and one of the hardest achievements in the game is to I can't remember the exact conditions for it, but it was essentially like make
You have to
5
win.
saves.
No, you have to. I think win 5 games with you being the goalie, like you're creating
Yeah,
a goalie or
it's
whatever.
so fucking hard, and it was just like you talk a big game, you're sitting back the whole time. It's a real hockey game. You're just sitting there watching the people in the distance doing the hockey, and you're just sitting there like,
And then they come at you and you're fumbling the controller. You're like,
yeah, and as soon as they start coming out, you're like, go away! So that's just a fun start. That's not something I'm particularly like super proud of, but it was super fun to do. It was hard.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Super Meat Boy, obviously. That
Boo,
was a many.
boo,
Why boo?
gimme. Gets a
It was
gimme.
a many-year challenge. Armello is up there, so Armello isn't particularly hard, but I am the first person to get the platinum according to PSN profiles. Who
That
knows
was
if
that
that's
was your
true?
first world first, right?
That was my first world first,
Okay, yeah.
and this is a sad, pathetic story. My sister was in town, and we went out to dinner with her and her, I think then boyfriend, now husband. And I was like, listen, I am on track to be the first person in the world to get this platinum trophy. This dinner cannot go for more than an hour. It's such a stupid story.
I'm so
But
proud of you.
I don't know. There
I
was
just
something about that one where it was like there's RNG in the game, but it's like a static seed, and the game isn't clear about what's seeded and what isn't. So once you know what's seeded, you can manipulate the RNG. Like all the guides that were coming out were like, play it online and just boost it. And I was like, oh no, it's way faster to like cloud save and like pull from the deck at different times, and like it makes you feel clever in a super nerdy geek way.
that only Peter can say.
But I mean that's when trophy hunting I think is the most fun to
Yeah.
me, is
Yeah.
when there is no guide, the game is not super clear about how you get the trophies, and it's like that experimentation phase. Like that's
Yeah, it's
when
like
I'm
the
having the
game.
most fun.
It's not the game challenging you; it's challenging yourself to figure it out.
Yeah. Like I've run a Banner
Listen,
Saga 3 a bunch of times, and that was just like that, where the descriptions for the trophies were pretty vague, or the ones that aren't vague, the game wasn't clear on how to do them. Like there's one that's something like have 30 battles in a playthrough. I think it's 30. And the community who was going for the platinum first, we all could only get to 29, but we had a different 29. And so we were like comparing notes to be like, how do you get to 30? How do you get to 30?
Oh,
um
is that the one you had to play through the whole series again to like
That's the
do
second
something?
one. The
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 second one, okay.
Banner Saga 2 has a trophy that you have to beat Banner Saga 1 in a certain way in order to get the trophy in 2, which is, I've never proved that to be like 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you do.
Devil, do you want
I
to
have
plug
two
out?
things.
All right.
First of all, it's called Good Start. Win 5 matches with your Be a Pro character playing as a goalie. It is the fourth rarest trophy in NHL 2015.
I believe it.
It's hard being a goalie. It's hard being good. Second thing is Peter is neglecting to mention I helped him get the second to last trophy in Armello. I gave him the strats. I gave him the hot tips.
I don't remember this at all.
I remember you were sitting there trying to figure out how to do it, and essentially it was one of those really dumb things that you wouldn't have thought of because it's too stupid to be the right way to do it. And I was like, why don't you just do this? And you were like, oh yeah. And you tried that and it worked. and it was one of those I don't get any credit actually because I didn't know what I was
trophy
talking
was
about.
it?
It might have been it might have been Lemur Neeson, the one about regaining a follower after you'd already lost them. I think was it that or the one about
Oh,
overkilling a deck?
yeah. So Lemur Neeson is it's a digital board game, and Lemur Neeson is you have to have an ally, get that ally stolen by another character,
And then take
and then
them
get
back.
the ally back. And Dibble had the theory that was like, well, what are the ways that you can steal an ally? And I was like, well, there's a card that just blatantly does it. There's a card that lets you take cards from someone else's hand, and there's a trap. And he was like, well, you know how to manipulate the deck. Can you manipulate them into forcing them to draw the trap and then step on the trap while you have the other card? And I was like, there's no way that can all fall into place. And like first try, it fell into place.
Yep.
So now that you
What
say
I'm
that,
saying-
that did come back to me.
I am a mega genius. I would never. So the funny thing is, it's like it's like aliens coming down and being like, "Hey, you're dumb enough. You got a stupid idea for how this can work? Because we're too smart to think of a dumb thing."
That was like a phase of video gaming that we don't talk about a lot, where like I would be playing a game under a certain condition and you would just have the answer. Like I think about The Witness when we first played that, and I was stuck on this one puzzle for like maybe 6 hours, and we were all playing it on like a chat. I don't remember if it
we
was...
weren't telling each other what we were doing because we wanted to keep it a secret.
Right, but we were like, oh, I just did this thing and it was cool. And I was like, I'm still stuck on this puzzle. Like, I cannot get it. And like the whole day we were playing, and I was like, I need a hint. And Dibble was like, where are you? And I told him, and he was like, I don't, like, it's super obvious. I don't know what the problem is. And like, he let me flounder there for a while. And then finally he was like, by the way, is your sound on? And I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, it's a sound-based puzzle. And I was like, no, we're in chat. My sound is off. And then I turn the sound on, and it's immediately obvious what to do.
Oh, it's really funny. It's hard. it's hard when you don't know what other people are doing to like sabotage themselves in a way that they don't know is self-sabotage. Like I had to infer that you didn't have that available. I was like, I can't tell him. Just listen to the sound because that's literally giving him the answer. But then I realized if he hadn't realized that, because Peter's not that fucking stupid, maybe his sound was off. I was like, that's not what it is. And it was. And I was like, why is your sound off? But I think my proudest one, I almost got a world first on this. JB was here when I was doing it. This little tiny indie game came out called Cryptarch, which was really, really cool. It was scavenging wrecks in space, alien spacecraft, and it was a roguelite where you had to pay a certain amount of money for the upgrades to your little like robot rig to fly in, and you had to disable the different parts of the ship. And usually what ended up happening was when you turned off the main power supply, it turned off all the defenses, which meant you could salvage a shitload more stuff. But also, it meant the ship was about to blow up, so you had like 40 seconds to get as much as you could. Or you could try to get that stuff while the defenses were still on. And did you go for the tiny stealthy suit where people couldn't detect you unless they were basically touching your butthole, but you had no armor and died in one hit? Or you could be the super buff rig. There was a lot of different options. And like the last 3 achievements in the endless mode, because it's always the fucking endless mode, isn't it, in a roguelike, Peter? The achievement just didn't pop when you did the condition for it. And I was messaging the devs. This was back when I used True Trophies most of the time. And it was like me and one other guy. And JB and I went out to play golf. And then we came back and the patch had come through and he'd gotten them all. And I was like, no! So I missed it by like 3 or 4 hours, I think.
The patch and you'd started the game and I was like refreshing the page. I was like, oh, he still hasn't got it. He still hasn't got it. And like, I think you were 2 trophies away. And I was like,
I was very close.
I was like, he got it like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, he got it 11 p.m. and I got it 8 a.m. the next day. That was so I missed it. Like I'd gone to bed and then I woke up and he'd done it already. So yeah, it was me and this guy called Deathstroke on True Trophies. Apparently somebody else snuck
shout
in
him out.
I'm looking at it right now.
We're calling out old trophy nemesis.
We're calling out old
True Tycho.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say
my
that.
old trophy nemesis.
So that's a really, really fun game. I highly recommend it. It's a super tiny indie game. I imagine if you bought it, they'd be thrilled. It's $15. It's super cool. It's one of my favorite games.
I'll shout Mind Laban for Peter and Binding of Isaac for Dibble because I think those are very, very impressive in their own.
Yeah, I think Mind Laban. It's easy now that I've done it, right? But I feel like Mind Laban is not as hard as it seems, and I say that as someone who took longer to get it than most people who have tried for it. It seems like most people who have tried for it have done it in under 10 tries.
Yeah.
It's
But
more
Matt got it
about
like what,
skill,
3?
it's like the dedication though.
yeah,
Like
it's
Yeah.
more about the perseverance and being like continuing to try it. And again, like it's super cheeky and easy to be like,
right.
I did it. It's super like you can do it too.
Yeah.
But like,
It's easy to be an asshole.
yeah.
And watching Dibble go through Binding of Isaac for like a year, legit. Like I was
Yeah,
like,
I
do anything like that, but
so I played Binding of Isaac post patch. I played it after you couldn't do seeded runs anymore because there's an achievement to get every item once. And I'm talking base game. Not like base Steam game where it was like a flash game. I'm talking Binding of Isaac Rebirth on PS4 before the first DLC pack, where there's a character called the Lost who has there's like, you can have 3 hearts, you can lose a heart or whatever. The Lost has no hearts ever and can never get any more. You have 1 hit point ever, and if you get hit, you die and the whole run is over. The DLC added an item called the Holy Mantle that you start with base game, where that character has 1 hit point, 1 extra hit point per room. Once you get hit once, if you get hit again, you're dead, but you get that per room. It's still fucking hard. I did not have that fucking luxury. So, and to get the 100% in the base game, you have to beat every version of like every boss. You have to beat the game in hard mode. You have to beat Mom. You have to beat the Devil. You have to beat Mega Satan. You have to beat the time attack mode as every character, including the Lost, which essentially just means I hope you get a really fucking good run, or fuck you. And it was exactly as JB said. It was me trying like 2 or 3 attempts a day every day for I think it took me 2 weeks to get the Lost sticky note completed, and then it was just grind the final items. At which point I was like, man, this game's really fun. This isn't. Grinding for the items is awful. And then it was like, you're going to do the DLC, and it's like, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, not to bring it up, Peter, but Dead by Daylight, where if you're going to if you're going to get the 500 kills achievement, you might as well get the DLC so you're playing as a character who needs kills for one of their achievements anyway.
Yeah.
Because once you have everything else done and it's just grinding the kills, it's obnoxious. There you go.
for me, I mean, I like the Witness Challenge Room because it took me way longer than it should have. I'd miss the pillars by like a second.
So
and
I
be
love
infuriated.
I love the witness challenge room.
I do too, but I would get to the end and the pillars. I don't know what it was. I'd get one, and then I'd be halfway through the other one and run out of time.
Yeah, it's so tight. Like that time is almost perfect in how long it is.
I mean, you have to do everything but the pillars perfectly to
Yeah.
get the time you need to do all that. But that, the Power Star Golf achievements, those last few ones were pretty rough. Dead Space 1, Impossible difficulty was a lot of fun.
That's a good trophy. That is definitely one to be proud of.
That was very fun. I'd like to do it again on PS3. But that's just some line. So what were the most fun ones? And you've already talked about like the ones you kind of figure out on your own.
Yeah, that's where I'm in my element, I think. I don't like I could create that for myself. All I would have to do is not look at a guide, but for some reason when there's a guide there, I always look at it. Like it's a self-inflicted problem. I could just not do that.
That's true, because like you don't want to create, because we only have a limited time, so you don't want to create more time to do something that you could do in half the time.
Sure.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like, oh, I can do this in 20 hours, then go on to the next game instead of staying 40 hours on this game and not play this other game I really want to play. Or
I'm trying to think of a game where I like went out of my way to try to learn the achievements by myself without googling them.
So
there's
so
not a
the
lot of
question
games
is
nowadays
what
that
are
have, like,
the question is what is like the most fun?
yeah, what's like your most enjoyable? Not necessarily proud of, but like what kind of trophies do you just really, really enjoy getting?
Yeah, I mean,
Did
I
you
mentioned
really?
Resident Evil earlier, but like I do think that like some of the Resident Evil trophies are laid out well that make you experience a lot of the game, even in different ways that you weren't going to play before. Like Fury does that too, and I think Fury has a
Okay.
good trophy list because of that. Like I like games
I
that
mean,
encourage you with their trophy list to not just play it multiple times because in some games that would be awful, but encourage you to
yeah,
play it in a different way, in like in a more fun way sometimes, or in a harder
right.
way,
With,
or
without making it boring or
yeah.
redundant.
Where'd my pencil go? Oh, I was
It
gonna
did look
say,
it
I was
did
gonna
look
say,
like a lot of Metroidvanias that, like, Axiom Verge kind of does that bit, like Guacamelee maybe, like where they have those like specific kind of run specific ones like speed run difficulty.
I don't know why Metroidvanias have never really clicked with me, and I keep
you're
trying
stupid.
them, and I keep not jiving with them. I don't know why.
Because you're stupid.
It must be because I'm stupid.
So for me, when it comes to the most fun, there's that element where you're like, yes, I got it. But what's better than yes, I got it?
Yes, we got it.
Yes, we got it.
Friendship.
We're talking Left 4 Dead. We're talking Back 4 Blood. We're talking zombies, Easter eggs, and Call of Duty games. When you gotta work together, Ashen, when you gotta work together to overcome a challenge the game puts forth for you to work through together. Not like the fucking achievements where it's like one person has to get a thing so everybody helps them like boost doing the one thing. I'm talking you got one guy doing this, you got one guy doing this, I'm running the zombies in a circle, this guy's upgrading this thing, and then you're like everybody knows their role and you get together and you get it. When that fucking Easter egg cutscene starts in COD Zombies, you're just like, yes. Mostly, I'm trying to shout out because I got a lot of shit last video from Mud, our friend Mud, because I didn't talk about
Mud.
Friend of the show, Mud Symmetry.
Watch
I didn't
him on
talk about
twitch.tv/symmetry.
Well, I did. Jesus Christ, the plug. I didn't talk enough about Call of Duty World War II zombies that he and I and intern Matt did last year, which is just those are the hardest zombies Easter eggs of like any of the games, and it's like basically not even close. Like we're doing Black Ops 4 zombies right now. It's taking like two tries after we know what we're doing. It's like one try after we all actually know what to do. Like when one person knows what to do, like for frickin' World War II zombies, everyone had to know every step and like all work together to do it. And even then you still fucking didn't do it. They're so hard. All I'm saying is we're the best. No, I love that feeling of community when it pops and you're all in chat like, yeah, we never have to play this fucking map ever again. Yeah.
That was Unrailed. I don't think I've felt better about a trophy than when the Unrailed Platinum popped and I didn't have to play it anymore.
And I got it first, yeah. It was so good.
The closest I can get to like what Dibble was saying was like World of Warcraft raids. Like as a guild, you're 40, 25, however many people you're doing. You finally get to the very end, like either Illidan or whoever, Arthas or whoever you're fighting at the time.
Artagia, the Mad King.
No game has recreated the magic of 40-person World of Warcraft raids for me. It was
Are you saying Destiny raids didn't do it
It's not the same. It's
obviously it's not the same. I'm doing a bit.
The community
still looking for this fucking pencil
to do the same thing.
Dealing with 40 schedules and then having someone who knows what to do and having a guild leader who's coordinating 40 people and then no one screwing up because you better make sure that you're in the right spot. It was something else.
All right, next two more questions.
It's gonna be a two-parter.
Trophy regrets. So any games that you started that you're just like, regrets. I made a mistake.
Dead by Daylight. Kill me.
You're such a bitch.
I hate Dead by Daylight. No game has ever made me feel lower about myself than playing Killer in Dead by Daylight. Playing Survivor is fun. Playing with your friends is fun. Playing Killer is awful. Even when you win, it's still awful. Beyond that, Dead Star. So Dead Star was a PS Plus game that 6 months later was delisted.
Yep.
So it prevented me from ever getting 100% completion, which is in some ways good because it means that I have never cared about 100% completion. But I actually liked that game. That was fun until it shut down.
Even I liked that game. It was a spaceship MOBA, right?
Yeah.
Fun concept.
There were like 9 different kinds of spaceships, and there was a mode where you get to like lead a ship that is like your cruiser in a Battlestar Galactica like universe. And so you would go through 5 jumps with the cruiser, and each jump was a real match that 2 other teams were fighting. And if the 2 teams teamed up against your cruiser, they got a ton of rewards for that match. And if you survived, you made it to the next jump. And if you made it to the last jump, you got a ton of rewards. Like it was
And there was
so
an
cool.
achievement for each step of that. Yeah, there was an achievement for each step of that happening. So even if you failed, if it was the first time you failed, you still got a trophy. So it wasn't so shitty. But I guess for people who don't, because obviously Peter doesn't have footage of this. Then again, he's not going to edit footage anyway. Explosions, cars. It's like if like the dragon or like Baron in League of Legends was controlled by another person who came
Yeah.
into the match. Like that's such a cool extra element. You're like, listen, I want to take your base, but this fucking guy over here needs his ass kicked, and let's all do that. And the fact that he has it like their own team defending the ship, that's such a cool idea. And then it took a shit and never came back. So that's real lame.
Yeah, and like there were
That's
politics
pretty
with
cool.
it too, where like if you came into a match and one team had almost won but not quite won, if you made them win, you would jump immediately. So
Yeah,
like,
so you could gang up and
so like it was in your interest to like kind of make one team win rather than just survive. But like if both teams came at you, you were screwed. So
Right.
like
Yeah.
it
I
was
think
cool.
you did get a contract for that though, didn't you? You got it, or did
No,
Shomer
I
get
didn't,
it?
I didn't get that. No.
Did Shomer get it?
I definitely played it with someone, so maybe he got it, and
Because I know
Shomer.
somebody has one of the chips for that, one of the achievements for that.
Yeah.
What the dumbest thing about this game is the multiplayer got turned off, but it was still available, and you could do the tutorial.
And get
And
one
there's a trophy for doing the tutorial. So it's only actually ever gotten rarer, but you can't do anything. Which is fucking dumb.
I'm trying to think of other trophy regrets.
Get
I
a-
guess this is generic. This isn't a specific game. I guess generically, I have a very bad habit of being like, I'm gonna like this game, get 2 trophies, and then never go back to it. That is like a trend with me. Because like if I don't like it, I'm not gonna force myself to play it.
I mean, but you do sometimes though.
I do sometimes though.
So when you don't, it's like really bad.
I wouldn't
I
say really
genuinely-
bad. I would say not for me.
Oh, it's a nice choose kindness.
But most of the
It-
time, when I force myself to play it, it's because I've been told the game is good, and I'm like, it must get better. Like, it must be me at this point. Like, it must get better, and then it never gets better for me. And then
I did put you back on Outer Wilds, so
Outer Wilds, if I had not had you, if I just had that first time I played Outer Wilds, I may have stopped playing Outer Wilds.
So what you're saying is you owe like 5 videos on the channel to JB.
I do. This is all JB's
I
doing.
started it, and I was like, dude, this is right up Peter's alley. Why doesn't he like this?
Out of his butt.
No, you started before me, and you were like, you have to play it. And then I
Oh,
was
thought
like,
I told you after you like stopped.
and then I had stopped, and then you were like, you really got to go back to it. Like, you really got to keep going.
I was like, how does he like this? Like, there's no way.
It's
this
good
is
stuff.
everything Peter wants.
Yeah.
And then a week later, he's like, I got the platinum. It was really good. It was the best game I've ever played.
The trophies in that
Yeah.
game kind of fucking suck though. They're pretty rough.
They're not bad. Devil, you have any regrets?
Starting Dead Star with Peter? No, I'm kidding.
Pick
I
a
did enjoy
friendship
my
game.
time.
Pick a game that you played with me and be like, playing this game with Peter was awful. Resident Evil 5 was awful.
Hot take, I enjoyed that. Resident Evil 6. So what I regret, Jesus, I can't. Resident Evil, okay. So at one point, Resident Evil 8 was coming out soon. Everybody we knew was playing Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2 and 3 was like $15. Everything was going on sale. And I was like, you know what? Let's bang out all the Resident Evil games. So like everybody on our server just started playing Resident Evil games at the same time. And it was like you, me, Shomer, Mutt was there. So we just started doing Resident Evil 5 multiplayer, which is just let the other team kill you for 15 minutes because there's no way to speed up the round. You have to win like 15 matches of each type. It was just like the minimum amount of time it was going to take us to do it was like 20 hours per person, and it was like, ugh. And then it's like, all right, well, we 100%ed Resident Evil 5. Let's go to Resident Evil 6. Worse in every way.
I told you 6 was bad.
I wasn't prepared for the multiplayer to be worse. The multiplayer in 6 one of the things you have to do is you have to escort a VIP as the blue umbrella, whatever they're called, the good guys, and
BSAA.
BSAA, whatever, blue. Every time I forget. And so one person is like playing as the zombies, like the weird undead corpse people. Not like zombies, like actual dead skeleton from a crypt zombie. It's stupid. And then the other person's playing a member of the BSA, like Chris Redfield, fucking whatever, punching boulders and shit. And you gotta bring a generic guy in armor. You gotta make him last as long as possible. And then it switches sides, and then you play a zombie and they protect. Well, there's an achievement to be the person to kill the VIP 100 times.
Oh god.
And
The fastest
also
way to do it.
the other side. Also,
And also the
win
other
100
side.
times on the human side.
So you have to boost it. You have to have the human lead the VIP to the trap in the crypt, and then be the zombie on the crank to stab him to death. But you can't do it too fast because the other team has to have a chance to also do it. So you have to kill him in like 25-ish seconds, so that you can both get it in one round, and then just like it draws or overtimes or whatever, and then do that 100 fucking times. It was seriously like Peter doesn't drink. Peter was like, I have to. I can't. It's so fucking boring. The only good thing about it is you could play as like Samurai Chris Redfield or like, like Goofy. Oh my
This
god,
is a good
it's so
point.
bad.
I've been pretty positive about Resident Evil in this episode. Resident Evil boosting has ruined boosting for me. I'm probably never boosting again.
Because like, how do you? If you want to talk about like, oh well, you didn't have to boost that. How? How?
It's definitely
As the normals. It's definitely dead. As the normal zombie, you do like 10 damage and they have 100 health. And then you have to actually get close enough to do the damage to the VIP, let alone the fact that the other human player is just going to shoot you once with like a stick and you die.
Also, there's NPC zombies.
Yeah, so they can steal your kill, which happened all the fucking time. Oh my god, it's so bad. It's so bad.
So yeah, no regrets.
So then we did Resident Evil Resistance, which is Dead by Daylight.
That's
but
true.
Also
That's
Resident
true.
Evil.
It is not fair to Dead by Daylight that I named Dead by Daylight and didn't name Resistance. Because
Thank you.
Resistance, if you try to boost Resident Evil Resistance, it has a timer for how long you can be killer against the same group of survivors. So you have to coordinate the boost to constantly switch who the killer is. It is awful.
Not even that. It's not pay to win. But it's like you don't understand. Like when you go up against. So there was a couple times we decided not to boost and to actually play against each other for real, and like we could kind of compete against each other. But this game has an actual leveling system, unlike Dead by Daylight, where you get a higher level, you just get access to more of the stuff you already had access to, like the perks and the add-ons for the killer you're playing. In this game, it's like you get cards to make people turn into sharks and the super killers and the what the fuck. If every time we got not someone that we were trying to boost with, we got some like level 785 Giga Chad, who the second we walked out the door spawned like 10 Mr. X's and like every zombie was poisoned. So even if you hit them, you got poisoned. They were like ghosts and shit. So every time we were like, nah, just let yourself die. Don't even fucking try.
Yeah, the people
we
who
did
still
try.
play Resistance are really good at Resistance.
Like, I'm not saying you'd have an easier time going up against like a red rank killer in Dead by Daylight, but like in Resistance, you're not playing with the same deck. And if you're actually a Resistance diehard and you're like, oh, actually, you do have a chance. Shut up. It's a bad game. No, I'm kidding. Don't shut up. But like, I didn't want to put the fucking time in. I didn't want to learn another. Somebody in our Discord was like, oh, we gotta get this platinum. It's on the list. And we were like, yeah, okay. And like 2 minutes in, we were like, no, fuck this. And it was like, we boosted like 3 hours, 3 days a week for like a fucking month. It was
not that long. It was like 3 sessions, but like trying to get people. It was not that much.
It was to the point that our wives were like, you need to fucking stop playing that shit. I don't know what you're doing. You need to stop. And we were like, yeah.
I guess mine, at least on PS4, is probably World War Z.
You hate that game so much. You didn't finish it.
No, I didn't. I've gone back to it a little bit. but there's no way I'm gonna finish that game.
It was good.
That game sucks because the retroactiveness of all of its achievements were such a fucking bummer.
Okay, yeah. Not to go back to trophies we hate, but World War Z has changed the requirements for its trophies like 5 times.
Every time it adds a new map, it's like, oh, this also counts, which makes sense, but no other game does that. Where it's like beat every level on the hardest difficulty, then they add a new hardest difficulty, and you were like, let's say you had beaten all the levels on the hardest difficulty when the game first came out, and they added, like, you had one level left, and then they added whatever Nightmare was, and it was like, oh no, you have to rebeat them all on Nightmare now, go fuck yourself. And then they added a new level, and you need to beat that one on the new difficulty.
Yeah.
It was like, stop.
And then they
Just
added
stop.
mutations, which could make the game easier or harder, and so you could use that to make the game easier, and you could play on that, and then they patched that out so you couldn't do that. Like, I have no idea what the state of that game is anymore.
Thank God we got it before they patched that out, because it was like...
And if you played it in the first week, the AI was insane. They were so good. They were better than the best players.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's...
If you, like, gunned it at the very beginning and put everybody, like, just you and 3 AI, you just wrecked house at that game.
You beasted everything, yeah. Which, granted, that feels like it's, obviously that's a cheap way to do it. But the fact that they, they changed it, they're like, no, this is too good. And everyone was like, oh, man. Like, it's so fun. But I guess in that first week, the game was basically unplayable because it was so buggy. I remember there's a Jimquisition, not a Jimquisition, but there's like a, whatever James Stephanie calls when they do, like, the Let's Plays. They did one of that the first week, and they were like, this game's fucking awful. It's fun, but it's unplayably broken. So...
And
it's fun, though.
I guess to finish up, so you guys mentioned in the goals video that you're going to play less games more. And
yep.
Not, like quality over quantity kind of thing. Is that going to change your outlook on trophy hunting in general, or are you still going to like?
Sure hope so.
Be completionist about like everything. Are you going to try some things that you may not complete, or?
Huh. No.
All right. So my perspective on this is, if I played, let's say I didn't enjoy Invisible Ink as much as I kind of did when I played it with Peter. Last year, I'd have just moved on to the next game. This year, I'd buckle down, try to read some guides, try to see what my strategy is that's wrong, learn from my mistakes, and keep going over and over again to get to find that sweet something and actually finish it. Because it's too easy to be like, I'll come back to this later and then never do it. Yeah. Like my thing for a while was, if I hated a game, I'd play it up to like an A on PSN profiles. Once you get that grade of A, I was like, fuck it, whatever, close enough. Now it's like, give it a little more time in the oven. As long as I get 1 plat a month, I'm just gonna kind of keep playing games, even if I don't understand them yet, to kind of keep clicking.
Sure.
Okay. So you're gonna give games the benefit of the doubt, kind of thing.
I wouldn't say that. I would say I won't give up on things as quickly because, like, oh, the new hotness is out. I mean, granted, the new hotness is going to be Elden Ring. The beginning of the year doesn't count. The beginning doesn't count. Well, I'm saying later.
Yeah. Like, you're not a grid game guy, so buckling down and doing Invisible Ink for you is different. It'd be like Peter playing a sports game or some shit.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
But, like, I know I like the idea of I like watching people play a game like Invisible Ink or XCOM. Or, like, I mean, I watched, hell, there's an Australian caster who does, cut this out. Crusader King? No, not Crusader Kings. What's it called? Fuck me.
Mountain Blade?
No. Age of Empires 4. He casts Age of Empires 4 matches, and I love watching that. I would never play Age of Empires 4, but watching it is really cool. Or, like, watching people play Civ. Marbazier plays Civ. I don't really play Civ because I'm not good enough at it, but this year I think I'm going to try to play those games and see if I can, like, broaden my dumb blob brain into understanding and liking strategy games. Peter, you're welcome to try and get me to play one of them with you this year.
I would love to bring you into the world of strategy games and hating your past self for these stupid decisions you made 35 minutes ago.
I mean, Inscription didn't seem that hard to understand. It's like Paper Mario. You
so good.
It should have been Game of the Year. Regret it till the end of our days.
I mean, one of us could have played the Echoes of the Eye, but, we didn't. Peter, Peter, do you want to chime in?
I got nothing. I don't really see
No?
that goal changing too much about how I game. I think last year I was better than I usually am about sticking with a game and seeing it through than I have in previous years. But I don't really see that goal impacting how I play too much, rather than I think it's just more of the like a play less games type of thing.
Peter, what I'm saying here is you played Persona 5 Strikers and you were like, and then you stopped. So
Yeah.
this year, would you have given that more time because you didn't have like 15 other games to play?
No. No, I don't see this goal changing that. I think I still would have bounced off of Strikers.
Okay. Because, like, if it wasn't for this year, I don't know if I'd ever go back to Monkey Ball. I don't like it from how much of it I've played. It doesn't feel right. They did it at AGDQ this year. They did the new Super Monkey Ball, and they were like, the fact that the camera is now a thing on the stick is like super revolutionary, and we love it. I was like, are you crazy? You turn the camera and it turns back. It fights you when you try to turn the camera. Why is this a good thing? Like, I'm not clicking with it yet. But I don't want to because it's bad. But everybody else seems to like Monkey Ball, and they're wrong. It's bad. All right.
Yeah, I like Monkey Ball. I don't know about the new one.
The trophies are like do every possible thing on every level. It's like
Yeah.
Hitman. It's like do every different level exit, get all the bananas on every level. It's 1,000 fucking things to do.
Just pro strats. Just jump right in.
That's pretty much all I got.
It's not great.
Just a little
That's
Yeah?
all the
Fireside
questions.
Chat.
Well, this
little
might
chat.
be a two-parter.
A little chat.
Little
You
chat.
could put little fireplaces behind us.
I'm not gonna do that.